Thank you
Thank
for coming,
you.
hanging out with us on the good old Zoom.
Yeah. Okay, so I first wanted to start off asking about the development of the script for the film and what that experience was like for you guys to really work together in developing the story.
Yeah, well, Alexandra and I had written a screenplay that was a Sundance Institute finalist for the Screenwriters Lab in 2016. But we realized that before we made that film, we needed to do something else, more of a proof of concept, because we never directed together before. So we were going to do a short film, and the idea was that these two women would collide into each other in the desert. And then we just decided to go make a feature instead. So that was the seedling.
And speaking of directing together, I also wanted to ask you both about that experience with this movie being your first feature that you directed, and what was that experience like for you both going from working on the script into directing the film?
Oh goodness. Well, Hannah did add, which we thought that a 15-page script we would kind of like do it experimental style. That was the initial idea, and realized that wasn't going to work for us. So we went back after developing the characters. We went into the desert. We shot some stuff. We figured out who these characters were. Kind of realized the script was not long enough. We could not go off that, and we went back to the drawing board and kind of extended out the script and did a proper script. And then obviously making our feature together, it was an amazing experience. It was the craziest, like most arduous thing that we've ever done in our probably lives up until that point. But yeah, it was quite an adventure and the absolute best.
And also I wanted to ask you both about going on to being the star in the film as well, and what that experience was like of going from working on the script into directing and acting on set as well.
Yeah, I think acting in this film was both a gift and a huge challenge, because we were the only crew and wearing all the hats. It was a lot of strangely like physical labor, and then having to pop into frame after we've spent an hour setting up equipment and figuring out what we're doing. In like 115-degree heat of Palm Springs without the AC on so we could roll sound. It was challenging, but it was also, I think the blessing of it was that because it was just the two of us and the other actors, we had such an open slate to explore and create on the acting front that it was very liberating experience. So I think it was wonderful. I think as actors, it was also, I think we learned a lot in the process. In being able to sit in the same characters over the course of 127 days. It's a nice long time to sit in the same roles.
Actually, one thing I want to add, because Hannah answered that beautifully. It's because I just had a memory of it. We haven't really discussed it a lot. Would be like if there was a scene where just say Hannah or Sadie had more to do in that scene, had to be there emotionally a bit more, the other person, me or Hannah, would kind of take on more of the physical stuff, because lifting the equipment, moving the equipment, adjusting the equipment, pressing record, pressing the sound, all that stuff is a bit distracting. So when we know that one person has a bit more to do, then the other person would take on more of the crewing of the film. We haven't really talked about that much.
Yeah, that's how
I don't think we did. We did it very naturally. Without talking about it. It wasn't like, it's, we have to do this way. No.
It's true.
And speaking of the fact that you both also did a lot more, pretty much all of the behind the scenes work as well, and were the crew, what was that experience like of really balancing not only directing, but doing everything else behind the camera and acting as well on set? Was that like a challenge overall, or how did you really balance that experience?
Oh, it's, we didn't really discuss beforehand how we would balance it, but we did. We figured it out. We're so connected that if we saw the other person, needed help with something, you just jump in there. And the good thing about Hannah and I's relationship is we don't have to talk a lot to get our point across. So it's just kind of like you just look and we know, oh, okay, that's what we need to do. Or That's how we have a secret way of communicating. So beware when you're around us. I would say balancing, because sometimes it was harder than others, depending on what was going on, depending on the heat was a major factor, which I don't think we accounted for, the extreme heat. And yeah, there's no one there to like hand you a glass of water. We'd be like, okay, let's cut. We're gonna take a break for Gatorade or coconut water or whatever of water.
And speaking also of being out in the desert and being on location, what was that experience like for you both, to getting to be out there and really film in that environment overall as well?
It was hot and sweaty and a lot of fun. I think again it was because of our small 2-person / no crew situation, just us two. I think it really enabled us to trek out to really wild locations that we found, and kind of as unassumingly as possible shoot, even though we were wearing maybe some strange costumes. It was great to be able to kind of pull over the side of the road and set up the equipment. So yeah, I think it would have been harder to shoot this with all of these locations with a full-on crew, getting everyone out to these very strange post-apocalyptic looking places.
And also speaking about the rest of the cast, I also wanted to ask about that experience and the casting process and how you went about finding the rest of the actors for the film.
Well, we feel very lucky. Phil Paralisi, who plays Richard Cox, is a friend of ours, a friend of Hannah's family, and now a friend of me, of course, and my family. So we roped him in early. He didn't know what he was signing up for exactly, but he was definitely on board and said yes with a lot of enthusiasm. He's been a huge support in so many ways for our film, Phil. Like we couldn't have done it without Phil. I mean, this film is so unconventional in the way it was made. Like we couldn't have some actor that was like, I want my trailer and my martini waiting for me when I come in. No, that wouldn't have worked on our set. And same with Pepe Serna, who plays Jesus, we got him more through the traditional casting process of setting out a call and his agent reaching out to us. Then we chatted with him on the phone. We thought he was great. So we got very lucky with both of them. They understood that this was kind of something very unique and unconventional, and that it wasn't going to be like a normal set. And that's what made it special.
And once the rest of the actors signed on, did you have a chance to maybe speak with them about their characters and the story, or what was that experience like as well of really building the story together with the rest of the cast?
Yeah, so Phil Paralisi, we actually did write the role specifically to him. And we did rehearse with Phil Paralisi before, like we did a full read through. Pepe was not involved at that point. We hadn't cast Jesus yet. So we had a good amount of time to kind of work all together. And obviously when we were out actually in the desert shooting together, we'd generally rehearse the night before shooting. So after shooting every night, after dinner, we'd go through the next day. So that was really our time to collaborate and get the scenes kind of prepped and primed. And then with Pepe, we also did a rehearsal with him before getting to the church, where we went through everything. But I'd say generally a lot of the collaboration was also on set. Yeah. I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah. And did you maybe improv at all with the rest of the cast as well once filming began, or what was that experience like being on set together and going through the scenes, or did you mainly stick to what was in the script as well?
We, sometimes when a scene wasn't working, we would kind of try to rework it and figure it out, particularly with Phil, because he was in more stuff with us. Or obviously with Hannah and I, we would kind of work it out if it was just us two. But we had a script and we stuck to it, because by the way we shot it, if we didn't have a lot of time for improvisation or the energy to be, even though there was an element of playfulness and openness, and if something wasn't working, we were open to work with it, but we didn't go from like right field to left field just like that. No, we kind of stuck to what we had planned.
And also, I wanted to ask about going to the film festivals and getting to share the movie with audiences in that respect on the film festival circuit, and what that experience was like of getting to see how audiences reacted in the moment as well to the film.
Oh man, it was so cool. It was such a joy to get to see the film on the big screen with packed audiences, and see that our little weird world wasn't just working for us and making us laugh. It made a lot of other people laugh. So that was a really gratifying experience, especially before COVID, to have had that opportunity to really sit in a group with a massive group of people and feel the energy. So it was a wonderful experience and a surprising experience, winning some awards along the way, and it was a great journey before reaching this distribution moment.
Speaking of the distribution as well, I also wanted to ask about that process of deciding how you would really officially distribute the movie and going with the digital and on-demand route as well. What was that process like of deciding to go that route as well?
Well, so 1091 Pictures picked up our film for distribution, which we were so stoked about. And it was for theatrical distribution. Unfortunately, because of COVID, we've had to, figure out a way how to work with it, just like every other film. And so we're thrilled that we're able to get to cinemas, even if it's virtually. I mean, we're right there in your house, in your bedroom or your family room. Well, you can watch our film just at the convenience of your own click of a button. So, and also we have some amazing drive-in theater opportunities, some rooftop exterior. I mean, that's where the kind of everything's going, and we're trying to find a way to still enjoy cinema, still experience it, but perhaps it's not traditionally in the closed theater, as we all love to do. And then we have that coming out on October 9th. We're out virtually nationwide in cinemas. And then, on the 9th, no, it's a limited release. And then a week later will be nationwide release. And then in December 5th, we will be on video on demand. So you can rent us, you can buy it. You can buy the film, you can't buy us.
You mentioned the costumes before as well, and I also wanted to ask a little bit more about that experience and what that process was like at deciding what the characters would look like during filming as well for the film.
Yeah, that was a super fun experience. Alexandra and I mainly did a lot of our costume hunting in different thrift stores around Los Angeles. And for Martha, we knew that we kind of wanted her, each sort of thing that she did had a uniform, right? So telemarketing, she's gonna wear the same thing. It's like a sense of order for her. And when she goes to bed, she's gonna wear the same thing at night. And then the only thing that would change would be the shirt she wears under her overalls while she's planting. And definitely wanted to kind of explore her emotional world and her arc through those shirts, so that when we start, she's wearing more muted tones. And then as Sadie kind of comes into her life and her world is sort of changing dramatically, her shirts become more colorful. So that was our vision for her. And Sadie's vision was really just that she, had this orange suitcase that was just full of stuff that couldn't possibly fit in there, and that she never wore the same thing. And it was always these wild kind of colorful outfits to kind of reflect her wild, cheerful temperament. So that was, that was sort of where we were going with at least those two characters.
And another element of the crew work that I also wanted to ask about in particular was the cinematography and how you both decided to shoot the film and what that experience was like of really figuring out the camera work while you were both acting as well.
Oh, great question. both of us have experience with cameras. Hannah and I have done documentary work, so we know how to, use a camera. And we use a Canon C300 Mark I to shoot this film. And I would say that, yeah, I mean, it helps to come from a documentary background because you don't have a huge crew to help you. You're doing most of it yourself. And I think we just use our own sensibilities of aesthetically what we like. And yeah, there was definitely hard times, like when we got those really wide shots that we both had to be in. One person would be like, booking it after they press record, like action, and it was definitely tiring, but God, it was so much fun. So wouldn't trade it for the world.
And now that this movie is being released, what's maybe coming out next for you both? Are you interested in collaborating together again on another feature, or what's coming next for you both as well?
Yeah, we have our second feature film, Peachville, ready to go, and we're in early prep for that. It's another dark comedy. And then we're also working on other writing projects currently.
I think that was mainly it, but thank you both again for taking the time to speak with me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Karen.
You're welcome. Thanks again.
Yes, it was lovely chatting.
You too. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.